No talk of peace without withdrawal of Russian troops? Scholz.
Here's a summary of the article.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that the withdrawal of Russian troops is a prerequisite for peace in Ukraine. Quote, Ukraine is ready for peace, but Ukraine, quite understandably and justifiably, wants this not to mean any kind of freezing of the war and dictation from Russia. We are talking about an imperialist, aggressive attack on Ukrainian territory, and therefore the peace and security of Europe are under threat. Details. Scholz has stressed that it is necessary to talk about peace based on the Ukrainian president's peace proposal. Quote, but Russia has to withdraw its troops, because without it, there is nothing to talk about at all. More details. The Chancellor has assured Ukraine of Germany's continued support. We will support you for as long as it takes, he said, noting that Germany has so far provided €17 billion in aid to Ukraine. He also stated that he believed in the success of the coalition of fighter jets during his visits to European capitals.
This post received a score of 9,800, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Germany not letting the world down? Putin is an abusive leader. What are the Russians even waiting for a revolution?
Revolution just means regime change in Russia. Nobody there cares anymore. The Bolsheviks killed all their allies after getting power. A revolution in Russia means you die fighting for it, or you die afterwards when those you supported turn on you. It's better to just flee that hellhole and save yourself the pain. Other groups had to learn that the hard way.
The Soviet culture is so ingrained it's going to take like 50 years to change the national psychology of Russia if they started with a nationwide re-education campaign today. So aside from a total clean-out of corruption from the government, which is arguably impossible, and the establishment of good faith governance which would make a re-education campaign possible, I think you're right. It's a hopeless clusterfuck, get out if you can.
Oh, it was long before the USSR. I remember an anecdote of Peter the Great, executed anybody caught in a corruption scandal. It turned out that his closest advisor Prince Menshikov was the biggest thief of them all, and after finding out Peter said, "Russian history is so brutal."
Good direction Scholz, tell Macron to shut his beak and go back in his Moscow closet.
Why is Macron suddenly licking the ass of Putin and Xi? It's like he's saying everything wrong at the moment.
Suddenly? This has always been the case for France.
He seems to be ramping it up a notch. Wasn't he trying to require a presidential portrait in all town halls, like right after he pushed through the extremely unpopular retirement reform? It seems like he's purposely trying to anger and frustrate his own people right now. I don't necessarily know exactly how the French people feel about China or Russia, but even outside of that he seems to be making a series of really poorly calculated moves.
Where I'm from, it's fairly common for there to be portraits of the mayor, governor, or president that change depending on the election results, but I can see why having that in France wouldn't be popular given its history. Still, you're absolutely right. It's like Macron is purposely throwing gasoline on the fire with all that's been happening in France lately.
Germany has been setting a very good example recently. This is good for solidarity, but I'd remind folks that although NATO can support Ukraine until they get wherever they want to, ultimately the only people who get to decide when they're tapping are the Ukrainians. It's up to us to back their play.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.